Imagine two men, same street, same neighborhood, same salary landing in their account on the same Friday morning. The first man feels the money arrive and immediately begins spending it in his mind. Before he has even opened the banking app, he has already half decided on the trainers he saw on Wednesday, the dinner he has been thinking about, the upgrade that has been sitting in his basket for 11 days. By the following Thursday, his balance is performing the trick it performs every month. The disappearing act. He checks it the way most people check it, quickly, with one eye closed. The second man receives the same amount. He sits with it for a moment, not because he is careful, not because he is afraid, but because he learned something years ago that changed his relationship with money permanently. The thing you want is almost never the thing you need, and the gap between those two things, protected, automated, left alone, is the only place wealth is ever quietly built. My name is Cash Logic Man, and today I want to tell you about a Japanese philosophy that has been hiding in plain sight for over 1,000 years. It is not a budgeting system. It is not an investment strategy. It is not an app. It is a way of seeing the world that makes wealth inevitable for the people who understand it. It is called Wabi-Sabi, and it is the reason the man with the ordinary salary ends up wealthy while the man on twice his income ends up with nothing. What Wabi-Sabi actually means. Most people have heard the word. Most people think it means something vague about simplicity or Japanese aesthetics. It is deeper than that. Wabi-Sabi is a Japanese worldview built on two ideas that Western culture has spent centuries trying to escape. Wabi, the beauty found in imperfection, in the unfinished, in the ordinary, in the thing that is exactly what it is and makes no apology for it. Sabi, the beauty found in the passage of time, in the worn, in the weathered, in the thing that shows its age honestly rather than hiding it. A ceramic tea bowl with a crack running through it, a wooden table with marks from 100 meals, a garden that has grown slightly wild, a car with a dent in the passenger door that has been there for 8 months and probably always will be. These are not failures. In the Wabi-Sabi philosophy, these are signs of a life actually lived, of things used and loved and not discarded the moment something newer arrives. And here is what this has to do with your money. Everything. We live in a system that is engineered against Wabi-Sabi. Every advertisement you have ever seen has delivered the same message in 1,000 different forms. What you have is not enough. What you have is already old. What you have is the previous version, the outdated model, the thing that people who have arrived would never still be using. This is not an accident. The entire consumer economy is built on one psychological lever: dissatisfaction with what you already own. The moment you are satisfied, truly deeply satisfied with what you have, you stop buying. And a person who stops buying cannot be profited from. So the system creates constant artificial obsolescence. Your phone becomes old the day the new one is announced. Your car becomes dated the moment a new model appears in the showroom. Your kitchen becomes the wrong shade of white. Your trainers become last season. The Japanese concept that describes this manufactured dissatisfaction is matinai, the profound regret over waste, the feeling that something is being discarded before its time, before it has given everything it has to give. Matinai is the voice that says, fix the crack, polish the shoes, clean the lens. This thing still has life in it. In a consumer economy, matinai is an act of resistance, and resistance is how you get rich. The Wabi-Sabi investor. Let me tell you about a man I want you to think about. He drives a 7-year-old car. There is a dent in the passenger door from a car park 4 years ago. He has never had it fixed, not because he cannot afford to, because it has never once prevented the car from doing the thing a car is supposed to do. Start, drive, arrive. He wears a 35-pound jumper to networking events, where other men are wearing shirts that cost 280 pounds. His watch tells time and does nothing else. His house is modest, paid off, quiet. His portfolio contains 0 individual stocks, 0 cryptocurrency, zero angel investments, zero involvement in guaranteed 12% return schemes, just a total market index fund, started small, automated, left alone. He is not cheap, he is not miserly, he is not sacrificing his happiness for some distant reward. He has simply applied wabi-sabi to his financial life. He found beauty in the imperfect car, usefulness in the ordinary jumper, sufficiency in the simple watch, and while everyone around him was upgrading their life to signal where they were going, he was quietly building the architecture of where he actually wanted to be. The wabi-sabi investor does not see the dent in the car door as a problem to be fixed. He sees it as £10,000 that went into his index fund instead. The philosophy of the enough point. Here is the concept at the heart of wabi-sabi wealth building. The enough point. Western financial culture has no language for this. We talk about more. We talk about growth. We talk about scaling and upgrading and optimizing and reaching the next level. We never talk about enough. The Japanese concept of ma is the philosophy of negative space, of the pause between notes that makes the music meaningful, of the empty room that makes the full room feel less crowded, of the moment of stillness that gives the movement around it its power. Applied to money, ma is the space you create by not spending, the purchase you do not make, the upgrade you do not take, the subscription you cancel and never miss, the dinner out that becomes a meal at home that turns out to be better anyway. Each of these is not a sacrifice. In the wabi-sabi philosophy, each of these is a choice to find sufficiency in what you already have. And sufficiency, real, genuine, practiced sufficiency, is the only foundation wealth can be built on. Because here is what nobody tells you about financial freedom. You cannot spend your way to it. You cannot earn your way to it if the spending rises to meet every raise. The only path to financial freedom is the gap, the space between what comes in and what goes out, the ma of your financial life. And wabi-sabi is the philosophy that makes protecting that gap feel like wisdom rather than deprivation. The 4 wabi-sabi money principles. Let me give you 4 principles, practical, applicable, starting today. Principle 1. The repair before the replacement. Before you buy something new, ask one question. Can the thing I already have be repaired, maintained, cleaned, or cared for? A scratched phone screen becomes the screen you have. Worn shoes become the shoes you polish. A slightly tired sofa becomes the sofa you keep for another year. This is not deprivation. This is wabi-sabi. The Japanese have a practice called kintsugi, the art of repairing broken pottery with gold. The crack is not hidden, it is highlighted, made beautiful. The history of the break becomes part of the object's story. Apply kintsugi to your financial life. The things you repair rather than replace carry the gold of a decision made with intention. They are not failures, they are choices, and those choices accumulate. Principle 2. The 30-day pause. You see something you want, you do not buy it. You write it down. You wait 30 days. After 30 days, you look at the list and ask, do I still want this? Or was I bored, anxious, stressed, and shopping was the easiest available anesthetic? 9 times out of 10, the urge is gone. The item is still there. You just no longer need it the way you needed it when you first saw it. This is not willpower. Willpower runs out. This is architecture. A system that introduces friction between desire and expenditure, a gap that lets the impulse pass through without taking your money with it. Principle 3. The beauty audit. Once a month, sit with what you own, not to judge it, not to compare it to what other people own, to genuinely look at it. The coffee you make at home that is actually better than the 12-pound coffee shop version when you take the time to make it properly. The walk you take in the morning that costs nothing and returns more than the gym membership you are paying for and rarely using. The conversation with someone you love in a room you already own. Wabi-sabi asks you to find beauty in what is already present rather than sourcing satisfaction from what is absent. This is not small. This is the entire game. Because the person who can find genuine contentment in what they already have has removed the primary mechanism through which the consumer economy extracts wealth from ordinary people. They cannot sell you dissatisfaction you are no longer carrying. Principle 4. The visible gap. Every month, write down two numbers. What came in, what went out. The space between them is your negative space, your freedom being purchased 1 month at a time. Make this gap visible, not in an app that you check occasionally and forget, on paper, with a pen, in the same place every month. When you can see the gap, you can protect it. When you can protect it, you can grow it. And when the gap compounds, when the money inside that gap begins to generate its own money, something shifts. The gap stops feeling like restraint. It starts feeling like power. What Wabi-Sabi actually costs. I want to be honest with you about something. Wabi-Sabi is not free. It costs something that is harder to part with than money. It costs the performance of success, the signals, the visible markers, the things people around you use to calculate your worth and your trajectory. When your colleague gets the new car and parks it where everyone can see it, there is a social reward in that. The nods, the comments, the upgraded perception. When you drive the 7-year-old Golf with the dent in the passenger door, nobody nods, nobody comments. You are sorted quickly and filed quietly under comfortable. Probably fine, not worth watching too closely. And here is the thing the Wabi-Sabi philosophy teaches us about that. The moment someone underestimates you, they stop watching you. And the moment they stop watching you, you can do exactly what you want. The performance of wealth requires a constant audience. It requires maintenance. It requires that next year's version outperform this year's. It is a treadmill with an accelerating pace. The architecture of wealth requires only time, and time is the one resource the performance is constantly consuming on your behalf. The Sabi of compound growth. Sabi, remember, is the beauty found in the passage of time, the worn, the weathered, the thing that improves precisely because it has been left alone long enough to become what it was always going to become. This is compound growth, not the dramatic version, not the cryptocurrency overnight story, not the hot tip that arrived at exactly the right moment, the quiet version, the boring version, the version that starts with 300 pounds on a Sunday afternoon and builds slowly, month after month, through market crashes and interest rate discussions on Tuesday morning news programs, the version that looks like nothing is happening for years, and then one morning you check the account and the number on the screen doesn't feel real. Not because you did something extraordinary, because you did something ordinary, repeatedly, for long enough. Sabi is the philosophy that makes patience feel like wisdom rather than passivity. The crack in the tea bowl is beautiful because of what it survived. The portfolio is powerful because of what it ignored. The crash of year 6, the neighbor's new car in year 4, the annual company bonus that everyone else spent the weekend after payday and you moved automatically to an index fund before the impulse could form. These are the Sabi of your financial life, the marks that show what you survived and what you refused to be distracted by. They are not visible from the outside. They are in the number, the real cost of wanting more. Let me give you a number. The average new car transaction in the UK right now sits close to £33,000. The average monthly payment on a new car is somewhere around £550. £550 a month, invested from age 25 at a 7% average annual return, over 40 years. That single monthly payment, automated into an index fund instead of a car finance agreement, becomes approximately £1.4 million, not because of the car, because of the gap that the car would have closed. The man who drives the Golf with the dent does not see it as a sacrifice. He sees it as 1.4 million reasons to leave the dent exactly where it is. This is Wabi-Sabi applied to compound interest, finding beauty in imperfection, finding wealth in the gap imperfection protects. The close. Two men, same street, same salary, same Friday morning. One spent his week's money before the week had begun in his mind. The other sat with it for a moment and remembered something. The thing you want is almost never the thing you need, and the gap between those two things is where freedom lives. You do not need a higher income to become wealthy. You need a philosophy that makes what you already have feel like enough. The Japanese found that philosophy 1,000 years ago. They called it Wabi-Sabi, the beauty in the imperfect, the wealth in the ordinary, the power in the enough. Patch your bucket, stop the leak, not through discipline, through a different way of seeing. If this changed how you think about what you own and what you want, subscribe, because next week we go deeper and we show you the next Japanese principle that has been hiding in the gap between what you earn and what you keep. See you then.